United States has joined in the ongoing orgy of praise for a man called Sam Bankman-Fried, the head of the crypto exchange FTX. Somehow no one noticed that he was basically a child wearing shorts who played video games during interviews and didn't seem to understand how his company was making money. But they lauded him as the world's first future trillionaire. They all fell for it. Well, not all. A very few didn't. They saw right through it. Elon Musk, for example, said he took one look at Bankman-Fried and his BS detector went off. And then, at much greater length and depth, last March, the CEO of CME Group, a man called Duffy, met with Sam Bankman-Fried. And during that meeting, Duffy did what pretty much nobody else did, maybe nobody else at all ever did. He called Sam Bankman-Fried a, quote, absolute fraud to his face, which of course he turned out to be. Then in May, Duffy kept going. He tried to warn Congress about FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. Here's what happened.
I'm asking you, sir, you have a saying so that FTX has, quote, no capital requirements for participants. I think that's on its face a false statement, given that the CFTC Part 39 regulation requires capital requirements, and FTX does have a capital requirement for margins.
I said their capital requirements are not the same as they are for other institutions.
Well,
capital is not the same as margin, Congressman.
Well, sir.
So Ro Khanna, Democrat of Silicon Valley, getting emotional as he defends Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. Why is that? Maybe someone will do a story to find out why. But in the meantime, we are grateful to have Terry Duffy join us. He's the CEO of CME Group, a man who has been completely vindicated. Why do you, and thank you so much for coming on tonight. Why do you, and by the way, I should recommend to our viewers, there's a whole lot of tape that we don't have time to play of you making this case at great length on the internet, and it's worth watching. But why do you think you're one of the only people to get this right?
I don't know, Tucker. It's a great question, but I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you playing that piece with the genius from California that telling me how crypto markets work and the difference between capital. What I was referring to is excess margin, which CME holds over $200 billion, where FTX was having regulatory capital, which is absolutely nothing. So he didn't know the difference between regulatory capital and margin capital, so it made me laugh. But, you know, really dismissive when it comes to a guy like that. So I don't know why people didn't see it, Tucker. You know, I mean, I said to my team, I said, you know, this is not about crypto, Tucker. This is about him trying to change the world so he could list every single product under the scam that he was trying to do with crypto. The crypto is so small, but if he could deploy his model in the U.S. Treasury market, in the U.S. agricultural market, can you imagine the damage this human being could have done to our country and the world? I mean, and people literally, we're turning a blind eye to it. When you look at the people that were with him, Tucker, Mark Weidman, the former head of the CFTC, the chairman, he's walking around with this guy as his, you know, baggage handler and giving him credibility. The former counsel for the CFTC became his general counsel at FTX. The former head of the ad committee, Mike Conaway, is his consultant working the room across both sides of the aisle. I mean, it's absolutely an embarrassment what went on here, and nobody bothered to look at it. I said he could lose 85% of his value in a single day, Tucker. I said that in congressional testimony. I did not know how right I would be in such a short period of time. It was a completely fraught proposal, what he was doing. I knew he was a fraud the day I met him, and it was quite easy to pick out.
Well, so you assessed his character and his vibe because you met with him in person, but you also assessed the fundamentals of his company as someone involved in business would. Why did none of the regulators do that? Where was Gary Gensler?
Well, I don't know where Gary Gensler was, but my regulator at the CFTC, I asked them, why in the world are you invoking the Commodity Exchange Act, Section 5, Paragraph B, which says the commission will entertain innovation? It also says in that same part of the act that you will protect market under surveillance and everything else to protect the consumers that are using those markets. They were using that. I want to know, was there pressure put on the agency from politicians or not? And there's hearings coming up. I hope someone has the courage to take on the commissioner of the CFTC and others and ask them why they were trying to put a round hole in a square peg. They should have dismissed his proposal out of hand. Instead, I was forced to go into Congress, get berated by people that don't know what they're talking about, and I told them what could potentially happen. And again, it did happen.
Amazing. I just want to recommend again to our viewers, Terry Duffy is the name of our current guest, and if you want a happy evening, look up his assessment of FTX. It's just amazing. I appreciate your coming on, Terry Duffy. Thank you.
Tucker, you're the best. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.